Well, the next step is to start thinking about how you want to make this modular. And that's what we're doing for the next week, is we're working on the modularity of stuff. So to do that, I need to look at the objects or the way it's cut up, at least for me. I look for the natural places that I've already cut it up and go for it. So what we're going to do is cut up this wall. We're going to use that same wall structure exactly the same. What we might do is find an edge piece like this and use it here too, so it goes around the corner. But we'll deal with that after we do our walls, and then probably the same thing over here too. Except for this door is different, so we'll see. Probably over here is a little different too, but we'll try and see if we can duplicate a wall segment. So if I look at this and I just pull it out at this point, and I'm going to say object, and then I come over here and look at it, it almost, if I say 2, not 4, geez Louise, it almost fits to that edge. Okay, so that's not working. What about the next one? If I go this way and do the same thing, it actually cuts that one in half. So now I've got it not long enough here and too long here, almost by half in one case and by over in the other. So this is where you become, you get to make your choices. You can say, I'm gonna make, instead of making segments this big, which would give me 3.5, maybe almost 4, I'm gonna make segments half this width. Or, and the other option too is, let me get rid of these guys. Well, you know what? Let me lose it. So for this one, I need a half one. So I might just make one and make a special half one too. And then on this side, instead of making a quarter one or whatever that is, I might just either duplicate this face again. One more time. Oh, hello. Like that. And, oops. And extend the hallway out. Or maybe after I make a half, I'll extend the hallway out just so it's about halfway. It's a little bit more than it was. So it's up to you which way you want to go. After we get our basic numbers in, we can fudge with stuff. We just want to get our basic stuff in is the whole point. So we've got this one wall. This is going to be our modular base. This is the size it's going to be, and this is the way I think it should work the best. Now, like this one here is going to have to be a little bit different, but it's just a variation on the same wall, so it won't be too bad. This one may be the same as this. We'll have to play around once we get to it, but I just want you to make one. I want you to break everything down into this simple, defining this way, into a simple geometry. And then I want you to make one of your wall segments. And depending on how you cut it up, it's up to you. I'd like to see maybe 4 or 5 in here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then probably 5. 5, I would think at the most. You don't want to have 20 of them, because the more you have, the more chances you have of breaking stuff. So after I've got that, I'm going to go on to the next one and show you how to do some of the crown molding and the floorboards that are in the shot. Okay, so if we look at, I've made a big Photoshop file. It's captured a bunch of stuff, and I'll put this up so you all can look at it. But I've captured a bunch of stuff, and this floorboard here and this floorboard here, and there's better pictures of them. This was just because I was capturing straight from the game as I went through every step of the game. And you want to try and find a good shot of that floorboard. If you want, you can, since you've already looked it up, you can use the exact scale of the floorboards. These look really big to me, so they could be different, and that's the great thing. Once you get the thing set up, everything else will just fit into place. So there's that. Okay. So, and don't get confused, there's a glitch right here. That's actually from the game. The game's doing that. So I'm going to put the attachment of the video walkthrough if you want to watch the whole game. It's really short, but it's creepy. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and look at this part next. So if I look at that, and I'm going to take this one wall, I'm going to say hide, unselected. So I only have this wall, and we're going to call this wall hall underscore wall underscore seg underscore 01, just to give it a numbering system so when I duplicate it, I'll know that it's not the original. Okay, so we're going to take this and we're going to go back to the front viewport and we're going to go X for the view, or we're going to say G so we can see the grid. And the first thing I notice is that it's not 0, 0, 0. And it's also turned in the wrong direction for us to work on it really efficiently. So I would set this up so when you import anything into Unity, you want it to be set up so it's facing the camera, unless there's certain occasions where you don't. But you want it to have it 90 degrees and usually facing the camera so when they pop it in, they can see, and if they need to rotate it, they can just type in the rotation amount in most cases. If it's a weird angle of part of an object, that's fine, but in general, have it looking at you and then have it centered. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and center it real quick. And it's going to center it on itself. That's fine. And I'm going to turn on the A button, which is the animation rotation, and I'm going to rotate it until it gets to 90. Okay. And I'm going to come over to my effect pivot point again. No, I'm not. Actually, I'm going to take this. So when you do environments, a lot of artists, or a lot of designers and environment people want you to have this set up so it's a little bit differently than the sword. You want to set this up so when they snap it, it snaps to the next piece correctly. And this is good for you too. So instead of having the center or the pivot point being at the center of the wall or even at the base down the middle of the wall, you want it down here in the bottom left-hand corner. So I'm going to say effect pivot point. And then since I've moved my object to the 0, 0, 0 spot as close as I can, it's going to jump because I'm super, super close. So undo. Okay, close enough for now. I'm going to say effect pivot point, and then instead of moving it by hand, I'm just going to type in 0, 0, 0, and there it is. Okay. If I want, I could try also when I get it there just to see if I can get it any closer. I can probably get it as close as that. That's actually as far as I can zoom in, so I'm like millimeters here. There. And then I'm going to turn off effect pivot point, and then I just type in 0, 0, 0 again, and now we're back. So now I have my object set up for game, and then probably what I want to do at this point is go ahead and I'm sorry, reset the X form. I'm sorry, yours is over here. So after that, I want to come in and reset the X form just real quick, clean it up, make sure everything's cleared out of it. It's a simple, oh, look at that. I was off still. Okay, so effect pivot point. Oh no. Actually, you know what? I'll do it this way. Since I know it's really close, I can even turn on the snap button and grab it and snap it right to that vert. And then I can turn that back off, and then I can type in 0 here. Okay. So now I've got it in the left base is my snap point. So if I put this in an environment, it will snap towards this direction. Makes our life a lot easier because all our verts are going to line up and everything. Okay. So now we've got this. Now I need to do, and then again, reset X form. And right click, convert to editable poly, and I'll bring it back to this window. So what I need to do now is the floorboard and the crown molding. So looking at the pictures, I think I have them still. Hello. They've got some normal crown molding down here, and this is actually a little bit more intricate of a baseboard. And I'll see if I can find better pictures for you, but for now, this works. So I'm going to just guesstimate what the baseboard looks like. And what, instead of doing it the way we do everything else, by sculpting it out, we can do it that way. But real quick, just for speedy's sake, I'm going to come back into my edge mode. I'm going to go to splines, and then I'm just going to say my baseboard is, let's say it's this big. Let me turn on the right layer I'm working in here. Punk. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to come in here and say line, and then that's probably really big. I'll have to look at it once I get it. And let's just do down over, in, out maybe, and then over. And I probably can go over like that. It may or may not be the way to do it efficiently. It depends on the game and stuff. Sometimes they like to have all the object filled in, and sometimes they like the back gone. The problem with having the back gone is that you lose, sometimes the lighting gets wonk. So we're going to actually cap this just to make our life easier. So how would I do that? So the way I do it is I usually just push refine, which adds a point into my edge, and then I'll pull this edge, I don't think it's going in the right direction, up to here, grab both of them, and just say fuse and weld. Then I'll grab this one and move it to here, and then I'll make sure this one is straight, there. So I've got that simple thing, and that looks pretty close. It may be a little bit thick, so if it is thick, then we can pull it in and we can mess with this after we get it set up real quick here. Let me pull this in a little bit more. Pull this up. Pull this in. Maybe even do something weird. Who knows? Alright, so now all I have to do is do a simple extrusion. Since it's a straight line, I'm not really too worried about how many pieces I use by default, so we'll just go ahead and pull it apparently the other way, which is weird. Okay. For whatever reason, it's negative. So if I look at this inside the physical camera, it looks, you know, looks pretty good. I can move it closer with both these objects here because the camera's further away. Turn off the edge facing on there. And maybe a little short. That one's pretty big actually. So come back to our line and we'll just, oops, come back to our line and we'll just, oops, drag it up. We can show our final here. And I'm going to pull this edge out. Okay. And then I'm going to come to here, front, and make sure it's lined up, and I can fix that in a second. And this actually looks like it's a little bit tilty too. So there it is. Now I have that first piece. Why don't I go back to standard lights real quick. And there you go, there's the simple geometry. And it's probably just being silly because of the way I've lit it behind, the light's behind it now, so it's in the shadow. But there it is, and I can come and modify it as much as I need to and say that's about right. Then I'm going to come to the top and do the same thing. So I'm going to go back to the left, and what I can do, if you really want, is you can grab this sucker again and drag it up to the top up here, like that, and you can just modify this one, which I will do in this case. Since I know it's close to the right length, I won't dance with that other one. So I'm looking at the one at the top here. Let me do this real quick. And it looks like it goes in, bubble, in for now. Like I said, I'll get you better versions of them, or you can use your own crown molding. I'm okay with that. I just want this really big and this really big. It helps define the space a lot more. So we're going to take this one and drag it down. Let's see, we're going to pull this back so it's there. Pull this out. And then this one's going to go down. Make sure you didn't turn it off the side there. Let's go left to see. Okay. And then we're going to put a new one inside of here. So refine, click, drag this one out. And then probably what I'll do is to refine, click, and throw one here. And then right click on this one and say Bezier, not corner, Bezier. Just to give us that roundness that we were looking for and make it a little bit less drastic. Maybe we'll pull this down a little bit. And there's really complicated crown molding and stuff, and I suggest for this first case that we just do simple crown molding, only because we're going to be doing a lot of other stuff inside of the engine, and I want to get us past the build part of this as fast as possible. So if I want to move this forward and right and left, I do that. Okay. I'll pull this back a little bit. Okay, and then we'll stop. And then we'll extrude, which was up here already. Let's see what it looks like. That's fine. It's not exactly right. Probably should have gone out more. Forgot the ceiling doesn't on the crown molding. So left, real quick. Take this one and move it to there. Sure. And I will get you examples of crown molding and stuff too. And then you could be done. We might be done, but to be safe, I like to do one more thing. This also has to do with lighting. I like, after I've got the base form done, I like to put the thickness of the wall in. And again, it has to do with lighting. When you start lighting an environment and you have one-sided objects, it does not like it. Unity, most engines don't. So now that I've got that set, I'm going to go back to front, look at this straight on, and then I'm going to come to not those, but these objects. And we can play with these and use normals on them if you'd rather. At this point, again, I'm trying to get through the build part of this so we can get to the actual inside the engine here. So let's do -188. Too far. 189. That's close enough. So that means this one's the same. So to come to this one and say -185, take that half off. There we go. Okay, so now we're set. There's your base wall, and we'll talk about it. You're going to be unwrapping it and stuff, and you're going to be attaching them together. So what we should probably do here, come to think of it, is collapse this to an editable poly. Grab this right here. Might as well collapse this one too. Actually, you know what? Let's not do that. So we've got our simple wall segment. We're going to attach them together just so they're all the same object real quick. So we're going to say attach, click, and click. Okay, and if I was having more time and I really wanted you to focus on this, we would make this all one seamless object. But we aren't going to do that because we're just trying to get through getting some stuff together so we can put it in the engine. What we can do, though, is make our life a little bit easier. Grab this one, and this one, and just do a X so they're all flattened together. There we go. And that's it. That's your homework. Make your clean up your environment. Make one of at least one of these. We'll decide in class how many you need to make. And this is your first segment, your first tileable one-piece segment. And I'll talk to you later.